Overthinking is fundamentally a biological glitch, a systemic hardware error that occurs entirely regardless of your raw intelligence level. The glitch manifests as a high-frequency loop. You replay yesterday's conversations, simulate future disasters, and dissect minor social cues with obsessive precision. This mental repetition is a biological trap. Your mind is spinning its wheels in a recursive loop, providing the illusion of productivity while solving absolutely nothing. The malfunction is most aggressive in the absence of external data, usually when you're lying in a dark, silent room. Without distractions, the intrusive thoughts take up the entire bandwidth. You start questioning a specific word choice from a morning meeting, or fearing a failure that hasn't happened yet. A single, isolated worry rapidly recruits more data, multiplying until it becomes a massive, unmanageable mental storm. In this vacuum, the brain's internal glitch dominates your entire perception. Breaking it requires moving past the thoughts themselves and addressing the physical mechanism driving them. This 3D model highlights the amygdala, an ancient brain structure evolved for a single purpose: detecting immediate physical danger. The amygdala has a critical operational flaw. It processes an actual physical threat and a purely imagined worst-case scenario using the exact same circuitry. It cannot distinguish between a predator and a hypothetical social rejection. When you overthink, you are effectively tricking this alarm system into declaring a 5-alarm emergency for a problem that doesn't exist in the physical world. This is an amygdala hijack. Your emotional survival instincts seize control of the system, forcing your logical, rational centers to go offline. During a hijack, the brain is attempting to fix a crisis through sheer intensity. Because logic has been bypassed, you cannot think your way out of the spiral using the very system that has been shut down. The hijack immediately triggers a physiological fallout, the massive release of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. This chemical dump causes your heart rate to spike, your muscles to tighten, and your senses to enter a state of extreme hyperalertness. This creates a self-sustaining cycle. Panicked thoughts trigger physical stress, and that physical stress signals the brain to generate more panicked thoughts to justify the feeling of danger. Overthinking is a physiological loop as much as a mental one. Interrupting it requires a manual physical intervention to force the system to reboot. You can break the cortisol loop in seconds using specific physical protocols designed to send an all-clear signal to the nervous system. Override Protocol 1 is grounding. You inventory your current reality by naming 5 things you see, 4 you can feel, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, and 1 you taste. This forces the brain to divert its processing power back to the safe, physical environment, starving the imagined crisis of the energy it needs to sustain itself. Protocol 2 is controlled breathing. Follow this 4-4-6 pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale slowly for 6. Rhythmic breathing and grounding work together to convince the amygdala that the threat has passed, successfully deactivating the false alarm. Once the physical loop is broken, you apply the final cognitive override, thought labeling. You pause the internal narrative and assign it a clinical category. You tell yourself, this is just anxiety, or this is just the overthinking glitch. This act of identification creates immediate psychological distance. You are no longer the thought. You are the observer of the thought. That distance strips the rogue thought of its authority, allowing the logical brain to resume operational control. To master these overrides, we have to understand the brain's motive. As a prediction machine, the brain hates information gaps. It treats an unknown as a high-risk security threat. When faced with an uncertain future, the brain fills the gap with a worst-case scenario. It prioritizes the certainty of a negative outcome over the terrifying unpredictability of the unknown. Overthinking is a misguided reach for security. It trades your peace of mind for the illusion of being prepared for a disaster that only exists in your mind. A thought produced during a biological hijack carries no inherent truth. It is corrupted data generated by a protective system that lost its calibration. The goal is to stop automatically believing every data point your brain produces. Master the overrides, recognize the glitch for what it is, and prevent the machine from controlling you.